Welcome. Today I would like to introduce the course design model for the Family Life Lessons project, specifically focusing on active listening. The following presentation will explain the instructional model used to design and develop the course, the learning objectives and outcomes, the basic course development and implementation process, as well as the evaluation process. The first step was to decide which instructional design model to use. I chose to use the ADDIE model of design. ADDIE stands for Analyze, Design, Develop, Implement, and Evaluate. ADDIE provides a map or framework which is needed to clearly identify and articulate the main components of any instructional course. Using the design process of ADDIE, I was able to specify many key components needed to build the active listening course for the Family Life Lessons project. Through the ADDIE framework, I was able to clearly identify the main learning objectives, the targeted audience, the class delivery model, as well as the learning process. The course objectives and outlines. Once I analyzed the material thoroughly, the design process needed to take place. I needed to come up with a way to articulate the course's learning objectives and outline how the course content would be delivered. I decided upon a 4-task model of delivery. Task 1 would be to identify and explain the goals and objectives of the course. 2, what is active listening would be an explanation of the course content. 3, practice makes perfect, which allows students the experience of active listening through role-playing. And 4, class examination and evaluation time. Once I had analyzed and designed the course layout, I began the process of development of the materials. This is the actual process of gathering the data, the examples, the video clips, and literature. This is the fun process where you, as the designer, are able to decide how you want the course materials to flow and how the course will appear to the learner. Taken place. It is then time to implement the course development model. The course development model I chose was threefold. 1 would be the in-class materials, which would be presented from an instructor to the learner. The second step would be visual aids. I would use video clips to enhance the students' learning through examples of good or poor active listening. And 3 would be interactive role-playing. This is where students would be given a scenario to use their new active listening skills. This portion of implementation allows for the instructor to address the course objectives and goals, present on the key components of what active listening is, the skills that will need to be developed for active listening, and how active listening can improve relationships. The second part, the visual aid segment. This is where students viewed the video clips from popular television shows demonstrating both poor and good active listening skills. This portion of the class also had a question and answer session attached to help clarify any misunderstandings or questions students may have had. The interactive portion. This is where students were given the scenarios to role play. The scenario given was, what would happen if one spouse asked another spouse to pay the daycare cost and that spouse forgot to pay? How was active listening not used, and how could it be used for the betterment of the relationship and the home life? This scenario allowed learners to use their new active listening skills and techniques to solve a common household problem between partners or spouses. The students were assessed on what they had learned through a short in-class examination. The students had the opportunity to evaluate the course, which helped to determine if learning goals had been met. Both the in-class examination of the students' learning outcomes and the evaluation of the course helped the instructor and the course designers to determine if the course material had been met and if certain items might need to be addressed differently or changed before implementing the course again. The last few words I have on designing course content that I found myself thinking about often during this project was that I needed to remember to not overwhelm the student or instructor by adding too much content. There's a tremendous wealth of knowledge and expertise out on the internet, in books, videos, and I found myself wanting to use so much of it. I had to rein myself in and remember to not overwhelm the student or instructor with too much material. The second thing to remember was that when you're using material, you need to remember to make sure that you're crediting the appropriate sources and not infringing on any copyright laws, making sure that you're ethically sourcing and creating your own material. As an instructional designer, you must not plagiarize others' course designs and pass them off as your own. And the third thing I tried to remember was to acknowledge and be cognizant of course content and how it should be designed in a fashion that meets ADA compliance, so that all learners have the same opportunity to gain knowledge through the class. In summary, I feel that Addie does a remarkable job of getting the instructional designer to the heart of the learning process, especially for the scenario that was listed above. How to use active listening. Addie helps one focus and analyze what the learner's needs are, what the course objectives need to be, and how they need to be met, and it allows for an easy development of course structure and material. I want to thank you for your time today, and please remember, if you have any questions, to reach out to me. My name again is Rachael Sanders, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this video. Thank you.